This video is for my sexy and single seniors out there. One of the members of my Patreon recently asked me, what does the research show about sex drive decreasing with age? Now, his question was really related to him dating women that were in his age category and finding that many of them found that sex was more of an obligation than something that they really wanted to have for themselves. He told me that that actually caused him to feel less attracted to those women, and he didn't want to pursue relationships with them because sex was important to him. But unfortunately, as he was finding this over and over and over again in the women that he was dating, he found that he was also really narrowing his dating pool. So he wants to date women that are in his age bracket, which is over 65, and he wants to date women who are interested in having sex. Well, I explained to him that yes, the research does show that hormonal changes and aging can impact sex drive. It's not an automatic one-for-one, elimination of desire. There are so many factors like your overall health, the amount of stress in your life, the relationship that you're in or looking for, the medications that you take, and the way that you see yourself. All of these play a significant role in how much you desire sex and intimacy. And many people remain sexually active well into their later years in life. But of course, the frequency of sex and the nature of intimacy are going to shift as our bodies change. But let's talk about the core of his question, which is why some women lose their interest in sex and how to reignite it. As I explained to him, many women of all ages, but especially older women, have experienced literally years, maybe even decades, of negative or unfulfilling sexual encounters. 1 in 4 women regularly experiences pain with sex. And if that is something that was a part of her previous marriage or previous relationships, it's going to be very difficult for her to reignite her interest in doing something that she considered to be painful or that she found to be an obligation in a previous relationship rather than a source of pleasure. I mean, that just makes sense, right? It's also true that hormonal shifts in women, especially during and after menopause, can make penetration feel uncomfortable unless it is properly done, including with lube and lots of foreplay and plenty of communication, which can cause women to want to avoid sex, especially penetration. But here's what I shared with him that is so important. If you make pleasure and intimacy the goal instead of penetration and orgasm, you will be opening up a whole world of possibility and potential that, does include penetration and intercourse, but also includes so much more. The key to really seducing a woman, especially a woman who's reluctant or doesn't feel confident that she wants to be sexual in that way, is by showing her a world of pleasure that you make possible for her. It's also worth noting that some folks, as they age, both men and women, experience pain in their bodies or limited range of motion that makes sex itself harder to enjoy, right? Because if you have to hold your body in a specific way that causes you some kind of pain, that might take a lot of the pleasure out of sex and might make it a lot harder for you to look forward to enjoying sex. That is one of the reasons that I made my thrusting and positions course. Inside of that course, you will see a bunch of different modifications, including pillows and wedges and the edge of the bed and the wall and the couch, so that you can get into a position that can feel restful and relaxed and you can last for a long time. The idea in that course is for folks who have any sort of physical limitation or pain, any sort of chronic pain that they're dealing with or any pain that they feel during intercourse, that we have given you modifications so that you can support your body, stay in positions for longer, reach the spots inside of her body and outside of her body that you want to reach for maximum pleasure. So if you find yourself avoiding sex or feeling like sex is becoming a lot of work because of the pain that you're experiencing, please check out my thrusting and positions course. It comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee. So if it doesn't work for you, no questions asked, you can get a full refund, but I know that you're going to love it. Okay. Now, pleasure doesn't have to be just genital focused, right? Show her that you can experience pleasure in all kinds of different ways, through food, through touch, through experiences, through an emotional connection, through intimacy as a whole. If you can demonstrate for her that pleasure is accessible, pleasure is possible, with you, pleasure is easy and constant, that is going to open up more possibility, more doors to her being more open to pleasure in general and pleasure through sex and intimacy in particular. If she's able to shift her perception of sex away from a duty and towards a way of accessing pleasure and connection and exploration, she's going to naturally be a lot more interested in having it, right? So the more that you can prioritize sensuality and a full range of intimacy, the more that those things will feel possible, accessible, and fun and interesting and desirable for her. Sex doesn't have to end later in life. No matter what kind of sex or what kind of intimacy you've had up until this point, you can experience something better, something more enjoyable, something that feels really, really, really good. It's just a matter of creating a path where that is a natural outcome instead of the only goal. I'm Caitlin B. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you here next week. Bye.